Hello, this is Pancho Mango. I'm bringing you a video about my games in the first Duelyst GG Open tournament, which I won. I'm showing you guys the bracket here. Few good names, good players, and a few people that I recognize from, well, I guess most people I recognize from Duelyst 1, but a few new faces as well. Girls being Ryusen and Sunfucker being 20th Century Boy. So, good competition overall. This format, so we were 17 players, so we were seeded by MMR. The two lower players played against each other to see who was going to play against me. I was the first seed by default, as another person didn't show up. So the format was best of 3 up until the finals. Finals were best of 5, and you brought any deck that you wanted, and the only rule was that if you won a game, you had to stick with the deck you had just won with. So a lot of counterpicking, involved, and you were able to deck build on the fly to really counter build your opponent. So that made a huge importance on who won the first game, because the winner of the first game can, if they lose the second game, can counter pick to the maximum for the third and final game, because they don't have another game to go through. With that in mind, I played with this deck all the way through as my first pick. I feel that Vitruvian is really strong, and I'm comfortable with Vitruvian. So I've got an aggro Xerix. And so you've got your standard golem package, Portal Guardian, which is just a fantastic card. You got your Sensoral Readers, Blood of Airs, which I sometimes tend to run 2 Blood of Airs, but in an aggro deck, I always run 3 because it's a great finisher, as it removes a body blocker and pushes 2 face damage. And then we've got your standard Blood Tears, First Wishes, Second Wish, standard for aggro. Bone Swarm I feel is really good, can push a lot of damage and can deal with some stuff. One Lost in the Desert, I don't like to have more because it can clog the hand, and it's not very useful in certain situations, but it can come in very clutch. And then Primus Fist and Spelljammer and Windstriker. Primus Fist is so good with Portal Guardian, buffing it 3 attack with 1 minion. So there we have it. So I'm gonna go through my games. One by one and commentate them. So first game, I'm up against Zane. He is playing Riva, which makes me think it's most likely aggro Riva with 5 cards in hand. There aren't too many other other Riva deck possibilities. I open up with a good Golem hand and a Spelljammer. I pretty much don't need the Spelljammers because I've already got a Dream Shaper, but I'm gonna hold on to one since I am gonna play a lot of cards. My opponent plays Shockery Avatar, and I can just triple Golem Swarm as an answer. It's not too much of a threat right now, the Shockery is. So. Open up with the Golems, put my Dream Shaper on the tile, and I don't get a First Wish or anything to play on top of it, but it's all good. my opponent wants to go down to clear the Dream Shaper with their general, it's okay. They're sort of out of position for the mana tile due to it, so. Definitely saw mostly Vitruvian, a lot of Songhai and Linar in the tournament. Those were the three main factions for sure. I don't think I saw any Magmar. I didn't see any Vanar, and I think I saw one game of Abyssian. So, not too diverse, but not too bad either. So my opponent just Phoenix fires my Golem Metallurgist and punches my Dream Shaper. They leave their Chakri open to my Celebrant though, so a Second Wish or a Bone Swarm in this case will clear it, and I'm thinking about replacing either Sentinel Reader or Blood of Error for now, and probably just going to play a Portal Guardian plus a Bone Swarm. The Sentinel Reader is probably better to keep for now since it's still early on in the game. I choose to replace the Spelljammer though, since it's an aggro Riva deck. So I'm not much ahead yet, even with this Golem opener. My opponent plays 2 ranged minions and prevents my Portal Guardian from moving. So I'm definitely considering Blood of Erring to clear this since the ranged minions and I'm Xerix. So I don't have many options to do so, and I decide to hold on to my hand. Reader can be really good next turn, and I just use a Blood of Error, so I'm gonna keep the other one. It's a great card, and just Blood of Error, yeah. And since it's aggro Riva, I'm not gonna push face damage yet until I'm slightly more ahead. So my opponent plays Lantern Fox, out of range of my Portal Guardian, and just goes face, but they only play 1 card, so I can first wish my Portal Guardian first, and just Sentinel Reader their Lantern Fox, start pushing some damage. So yeah, as I said before, I held off trading face damage beforehand, just making sure I was ahead before doing so, since this is aggro Reba and I have no healing in my deck. But at this point, I am fairly ahead with 2 sizable minions on board, and them having nothing to show for, so. My opponent plays the Lantern Fox again, with an Inner Focus and an Ethereal Blades. But they choose to go all face and maybe try to finish me off on the following turn. And I've got lethal right here with Bone Swarm and Blood Tear Alchemist. Or actually just Blood Tear Alchemist, I think. 6. Yeah, not. Yeah, exactly. Just Blitzer did it. So, game 1. I'm just gonna lower the sound of this. So, game 2, my opponent's sticking with Riva. Didn't choose to change their deck. Once again, even though I just won, I'm gonna suppose this is aggro Riva, since there really aren't too many options for Riva. Maybe it's in Artifact Riva deck instead. Debating on replacing, and I choose to replace the Promise Fist. I was thinking about maybe keeping it. I could have used it on turn 2 with the Celebrant, potentially, but in most cases they're going to play something out of range and wait for an Inner Focus or a Juxtaposition to be able to take advantage of their minion. So just going to replace the Primus Fist for now, see if I can find a Dream Shaper or Golems or stuff. Play the Celebrant. Against aggro Riva, I'm not scared of putting the tile in front of me. They could test War to steal it, but they're not going to gate. I mean, they could. The worst case thing they could do is Tusk Boar and then something like Kiba Holder. But Bone Storm's going to get rid of that Kiba Holder if they do. And if they just play another 2-drop, they could have already without that tile. If I end up just losing it because they just take it away from me, it's all good. I'm not looking to ramp into something big. I'm just trying to use the tile aggressively if I get the opportunity to. So they do play a Tusk Boar and play a 1-drop and Phoenix Fire on top of that to clear my Celebrant. Which is okay on their part. It's a lot of tempo, but at the end of the day, it's a nerf Katara, which I'm not too scared of, a Tusk Boar, which I'm just going to clear off, and they spent a ton of resources just clearing a Celebrant and getting rid of my mana tiles. So I could clear the board here with Blood Tear and Bone Swarm, but I don't feel like that's super efficient. So I start by replacing a Blood Tear, see if I can find something different to play. And I'd rather keep my Blood Tear and my Bone Swarm for Heartseekers and threats I find more threatening than this Katara, so I play a Dream Shaper, first wish it again, to have a 4/4, which is pretty resistant. MDS and Katara will not clear it. And then just draw cards and see if I can find better plays for the following turns. So my opponent plays the Kiwi Holder again. And MDS, go face. Pretty good play. The Kiwi Holder really preventing my Dreamshaper from a good trade, which is super good for them. My hand is getting better, but it's still not... Well, I wouldn't have anything fantastic here other than Lost in the Desert, which I only have one copy of. Still gonna dig for it, replace, and going to have to double Blood Tier to clear this Kiwi Holder. And at the same time, prevent another backstab. I play the Blood Tier here to potentially manage threats, more backline threats. But realistically, I should have played it here and then all the way back so that Katara does not have a backstab without clearing anything. I mean, obviously, Riva can punch the Blood Tier and then the Katara can punch the Dreamshaper, but at least that doesn't kill it. And I finally lost in the Desert. One turn too late, but it's all good. So my opponent plays a Heartseeker, Killing Edge, go face. And although I said it was one turn too late, the Lost in the Desert is fantastic here. I would still be able to clear the board without it, but this just pushes 5 damage and pushes more damage because my minions stay alive. And I'm gonna go and hide since I've got no healing and I'm starting to get low. Trade pretty much everything. Keep this Blood Tier alive so that my opponent is surrounded, sorry. And my opponent resigns. That was the first matchup. Not too bad. Aggro Riva could have been threatening to this deck, but the tempo from the Golems and the Portal Guardian get me ahead. So we've got the second series against Hushback. He's playing Kalios, and I'm sticking to my aggro Xerix for sure. Game 1 will always be aggro Xerix. So here I'm probably gonna replace the Sans Swirl and then Blood Tier. Get a Dreamshaper, which is good. Hopefully they don't have a Phoenix Fire. And my opponent plays a Weltar. So yeah, my opponent's playing Kalios. I'm sticking with aggro Xerix. not a great matchup. They can play a lot of backline threats and then bring them in with BBS, Jux, and MDS, which are hard for me to deal with. And this Wild Tar is very threatening indeed, because I want to swarm, so I have to play around this Frenzy. Even though Wild Tar just only has 2 attack for now, it's still threatening. And I'm an aggressive deck, and it's preventing me from attacking, so just good for my opponent. So I decided to still stick my minions close to each other in pairs, so that if it gets a Frenzy off, it's just 2 units, not too bad. And yeah, I first switched the Celebrant so that the Wild Tar can't punch and stay at 3 HP. Also, buffing the Metallurgist won't do too much for me, and the Dream Shaper is further down away from their things for now, so my opponent runs their Wild Tar back. They do a good job evaluating that it's a threat for me, or a threat against my deck, and they play a pretty good play. Flame Wreath, Inner Focus. They can punch with it because it's out of range of my stuff. Weaken my Celebrant as well. Just good stuff. So here I'm forced to double Blood Tier this Flame Wreath. I definitely can't leave it alive. Like I could Blood of Air something, but my opponent did a good job of playing around Blood of Air, so I can't Blood of Air the Wild Tar and punch the Flame Wreath. So I decide to sort of ignore the Wild Tar, play around the Frenzy as much as I can. Realistically, sort of play around in another Flame Wreath as well. So I Permis Fist, I double Blood Tier, and I Second Wish my Celebrant, and I choose to well, I'm gonna walk 2 forward towards the Wild Tar and away from the Permis Fist, and I choose to go face while I have the opportunity and while I have the +2 attack. It does buff the Wild Tar, but most likely I would have had to trade my Celebrant into the Wild Tar next turn anyways, unless my opponent gave me a Blood of Air, but I doubt that they would, since they would pretty much come to me. And I'm sort of forcing my opponent to make this trade, because they just took a chunk of damage, and this Second Wish Celebrant is going to be a problem for them if they leave it up. So I got 6 damage out of the trade. I would have probably done either way. So yeah. The threatening thing would be maybe a Jux. Jux it in the corner and be able to use this Wild Tar. But they would need like double MDS Jux to make a good play out of it. And even then, there's not a good Frenzy here, so I am low on cards though, so my opponent trading into this Celebrant prevents me from just playing a Dream Shaper. I'm gonna want to find the Dream Shaper and hold on this Celebrant, or find a Spelljammer pretty soon. So my opponent does do the trade, as I thought they would have to do. Play Bakazori. Blink it to get a card. And I'm gonna replace this Promise Fist to try to see if I can find a Dream Shaper, maybe. Don't, and I don't have anything to play, and I'm low on cards, so I'm absolutely gonna Blood of Air this Big Zori. Continue to go face. Debating on going face with my Promise Fist and my Blood Tier, but I don't. I think I could have gone face with the Primus Fist. I'd probably even walk the Blood Tier one up so that I could still play around Flame Wreath and it's more threatening since my opponent is low, but I don't have any damage in my hand. So it's not like I can close out the game the next turn, and it's not looking like I can even close it out the following turn, so I decide to keep my minions alive. My opponent plays a Grandmaster Zendo, which is good. Very good for them. I don't find a Sansero Reader or a Blood of Air, unfortunately. I just used one on the on Bakazori. I don't think it was a waste because I needed to clear that either way. So my opponent realized that and took the opportunity to try to play a Sendo, which they do successfully. So I'm just gonna try to play stuff and survive. I play minions so that his general and Zendo can't punch on board. Zendo can go here, then it would be a 50-50 to see which unit my general punches. So I'm trying to limit the movement of my opponent as much as I can. Try to keep playing around Flame Wreath a little bit, as much as I possibly can as well. The good thing is I'm not too low yet. I'm at 21, so I should survive this turn. Even with the Sendo. I get a Blood of Air, so I've got hope. My opponent finds Flame Wreath, Jux, and they also have a Primus Fist to clear my Spelljammer and placing it in the perfect spot so that my general can't punch this Flame Wreath. Otherwise, this Blood of Air would have cleared the 2 threats. But now, Blood of Air doesn't do it. I can only clear the... well, I can clear the Flame Wreath with Blood of Air and the Blood Tier, and then clear the Primus Fist with the other Blood Tier in my hand. Looking to see if I can use Lost in the Desert. I can't. I don't have the mana, so I just replace it. And so I go for the play I'm talking about, just Blood of Air, clear the Flame Wreath with my Blood Tier and the Dervish, and clear the Primus Fist, but I just derp out, completely forget that Flame Wreath has only one attack and not two, and that my Wind Dervish won't die. I could have just moved it out of the way, but just a stupid mistake, and now I can't clear the Flame Wreath, so... Sleeping on the job, I guess. So I take time to think about my mistakes, cry a little bit, but I'm gonna keep playing. Try to get out of this situation. Still Blood Tier, the Primus Fist. Yeah, and just hope my opponent doesn't have movement spells to take advantage of this Flame Wreath. And I play the Blood Tier in range of it, because if I keep it all the way here in the corner, I feel like it's not going to do too much. But I guess I could have, because it's also going to die for free. Or at least, no, I mean, it's going to prevent 2 face damage, so... Yeah. My opponent plays a Jaguar, and I'm pretty much out of removal since I didn't have enough cards in hand this game. They've also got the Mist Dragon Seal, so they clear my board, deal a bunch of face damage. Yeah, they do a good job. I feel like a Blood of Air alone is never going to win this game for me, so I decide to double Dream Shaper, see what I get, and I get a Wind Striker, so I get to clear this Flame Wreath, at least. I get to live another turn, and this Wind Striker protects me from Blink on the Jaguar as well. So I'm still alive. So my opponent just clears the Wind Striker, plays a cool Chaos Elemental, decide to take 2 damage, and play the Eternity Painter in my face to try to finish off the game. I replace the Skull and Metallurgist, which is useless. First Wish my Panda, and I try to find a way to survive. I can kill this Painter, I can Reader the Elemental. But then I have to find a way to play around Blink on the Jaguar. And it's unfortunately not possible. I almost get there. Play the reader here, play the portal, and walk my panda down. And so the Jaguar can't go here to blink here. They can't blink here with my portal guardian. But they can just punch my dervish, which is right here and has 2 low health, and then walk on the dial and blink the Jaguar down. So my opponent sees it. Very well played on their part. They did an excellent job. I made a mistake. Definitely, I really got punished for it. But I also lost because I was low on cards the whole game, and so I couldn't find removal for his threats in time. So yeah, good game. On a game 2, I gotta counter a mid Kelios, and I have to try to find a list that can win another game after that. I go with mid Saffron. And I know it's gonna have an excellent shot at beating Kelios. Of course, all their minions have like 2 attack or less, so I can grapnel them. I also choose to put 3 MPs in this version so that his Jaguars late game can't overstat his minions and then prevent me from playing grapnel or equality constraint on them. And yeah, that's about it. So I'm gonna play Portal for Swish here because it's bigger. It's a lot harder for Kelios to deal with. I'm not gonna risk them having Phoenix Fire and killing my Sworn Avenger. But I am gonna keep it because as soon as this Portal Guardian lives, then I can try to stick it. And if it does at that point, then I'm gonna have 2 huge threats, and that's gonna be really good for me. So my opponent plays Chaos Elemental defensively, keep their Suzuki away from my Portal Guardian as well, and take a smack at him to try to lower its HP while it's got low attack. Good play. Debating on keeping the CMP if it's too early or not. But I can also draw before replacing, and I've got 6 mana, so I can play 2 golems, draw some cards, and then also play a Sworn Avenger. So I'm going to draw first before replacing the CMP because I've got a good play. Play my Sworn Avenger. And choose not to go face with my portal because I have this Sworn Avenger. So trying to keep 2 threats alive for now. This face damage isn't going to go too far. I can go... I'm really trying to grind them out of resources before I try to win. I'm not the aggressive deck, so definitely don't need to go face yet. So Primus Fist, Inner Focus on my for my opponent. Cool play. I also played the Sworn Avenger here to play it around Blink from the Chaos Elemental. But this play is really good. Keeps their Suzubinbachi alive on top of that. They play around Frenzy, of course. It's a good play by my opponent, sorry, but they do just they can't deal with this Portal Guardian, which is now a 4/7 and it's gonna grow again. And I've got a pretty easy play with Reader on this 4/4 and clear this Suzubibachi, and which continues to buff my Portal, and I get a naturally good positioning around Flame Wraith. And with 5 attack and my opponent having close to no board, I'm now going to push some face damage with my Portal. Not necessarily trying to kill my opponent just yet, but just getting them low HP will buy me time, it'll buy me space, so it's all good. And if I can win off of it because they can't deal with this Portal, then great. So my opponent has a nice Flame Wraith Jux to get in between my General and my Sansrel, also Juxing the Portal in the corner. Blink can't clear the Reader and go face as well, though, because of the diagonal positioning, so it's good. And my opponent chooses to blink the Primus Fist so that my Portal can't reach it. Smart decisions. They have to take 3 though to clear this Reader, so they're getting even lower on HP. It's just great for me. And I've got a nice play right here. I can constrain the Flame Wraith to kill it, play double Dream Shaper to draw cards, and Dissension my opponent's remitting minion, the Primus Fist. So I'm not going to replace because I'm going to draw first, and I've got a good play. I decided to continue to play around Flame Wraith again for sure. I think I should have played them like this, so that I've sort of forced my opponent closer to the Portal Guardian. Now that they can walk up, punch a threat, and sort of run away from it. They're going to be on the top row though, so I maybe can surround them afterwards, but still, I think forcing them to stay closer to the portal would have been better. Could have potentially also walked the portal to the right while doing so that if they want to sort of run away from the portal and punch the Dream Shaper that would be here, the portal would be a bit closer. It's still a great play. I'm really ahead at this point. And on top of that, I'm ahead on life, and I'm very healthy, so... So we see Bakezori blink from my opponent. Indicates to me that they don't have anything good to play this turn, right? They're fishing to try to have a good play. MDS on the Primus Fist, clear the Dervish. Also keep the Primus Fist alive on board. So good job. And I replace it with Blood of Air. Could definitely Blood of Air plus Azure Herald. But I only have one form of removal for now. And with what happened last game, that I played a Blood of Air on a Bakezori and then my opponent managed to stick a Zendo, I'm gonna keep this. I can just Lightbender these two, make this pretty much useless. Well, make both of them pretty much useless at that point. And I can play another threat on top of it. Play them around a Lightbender of their own, just in case. And I was debating staying there with my general to keep the portal close, or trading in my my Dream Shaper for damage, and I decided to trade in my Dream Shaper for damage. Even if they run away from the big portal, I've got the other one right here. So. My opponent plays Killing Edge in order to clear this portal with help from the Primus Fist. They can't punch it with their face, otherwise they're staying in range of the other portal. Well, they could have gone where the Bakezori is, but then it would have been the opposite, which I think would have been better for them, because the Bakezori does trade with the portal. So if that ends up happening, it's okay for them. Buys them a little bit of time. Play with Thunderhorn though, which is pretty good for them. I can't kill it with the Blood of Air. I could EMP to get rid of both their threats, but I want to keep this this portal alive for sure. So I can take 6 and Blood of Air, clear their board. And I'm definitely healthy enough to do it, especially that I can play a Herald on top of that this turn. And I can also Dissension the Big Zori to take less damage. So that's going to be my play, debating on if I replace the Reader or the EMP. But they're good cards. I'm getting lower on cards since I'm playing 2 this turn. So I'm just going to keep both of them, since they can be useful. And keep my opponent surrounded. At this point, the Reader can clear a Body Blocker, or can just go face. Can clear a Provoker to finish off this game. And we see a Painter blink, so good job on my opponent. Keeping themselves alive. And not replacing one of these last turn made it so I don't have such a proactive hand this turn. So might have been a slight mistake. I hadn't considered the Painter. And there's no way for me to clear it on board. But I'm just going to push face and play a Reader. Make it so my opponent can't replay the Painter and blink it to transform my 2 minions. Keep them surrounded as well. My opponent's fishing and they can't find anything. And so I win my game 2. And I'm still in the series, so. Oops. Alright, so game 3. My opponent brings Shaddai. So I'm a little curious as to why they picked this matchup. Feel like this shouldn't be Arcanist Shaddai because I think it's a favorable matchup for Saffron. it could be artifacts. But I do have 3 MPs. I have Blood Tears. It's not the end of the world. I think it would be a favorable matchup for my opponent, but yeah. So I'm playing it as if it's artifacts. Makes more sense to me. My opponent's taking a long time to decide their turn 1. But yeah, they finally play Mana Forger. So they are, in fact, Arcanist, which does make me feel good. They play a Chakri on top of that. Chakri is threatening. So I play a Dream Shaper, and I get another Dream Shaper with the draw and First Wish, and I can clear this Mana Forger easily on board. Debating if I play another Dream Shaper on the tile. Mill a card, but wouldn't be the end of the world. Decide to First Wish first. See if I can't find another First Wish or a Blood Tear, which could have been good. I don't, so I just trade in. Don't play anything else, and mill First Wish, which is totally fine. It's not super essential like a Blood of Air or an EMP or even a Grapnel, so. Not a super tempo heavy start on my end, but my opponent gets to play a Scroll Bandit and double Inner Focus, which is really good for them. They get to clear my board, they get to steal 2 spells, and also they get to do it while I have this Mirage in my hand, which is good for them because it's not a spell they would have wanted to steal. And they did steal both my Blood of Airs, so really good for them. I replace into a Lightbender, which is going to be really good for this Chakra Avatar. So I played double Dream Shaper and Quality Constraint. Clear the Scroll Bandit. Keep my hand full. And I have a lot of heavy stuff, but they're gonna come in useful in the next in a couple of following turns. So my opponent decides to play a Blue Contra. And PBS. And they've got sort of two threats. The Blue Contra isn't too threatening to me, I feel like, in Arcana Shaddai. It generates a lot of value, but I'm scared of being aggroed down way more than I'm scared of being overvalued with this deck. And so I could Lightbender both, but it would keep a 4/6 on the board, which is not good. And my opponent has 6 cards in hand, so I'm definitely going to take this Sand Swirl Reader and stay as far away from this Chakri as I can. So until they have a Mr. Dragon Seal, I'm not taking damage from it. Waiting for an opportunity to possibly Lightbender it. I do let a good play for my opponent to just clear this Reader with their Chakri, clear the Dream Shaper with their face. I could have possibly moved the Dream Shaper the other way so that the Shaddai is further away from my face, but I'm still healthy, so I don't need to run away. I'm just trying to run away from this Chakri for now. Buy some time until I can answer it. My opponent plays an Earth Owl Beast. As well as an MVS and a Katetsu, really buffing up their Chakri, dealing a lot of face damage to me. Great play. Thankfully, I have Lightbender. And I also have a Nazar Herald to heal back up. Definitely gonna trade in my value trade my Dream Shaper. I go face with the Raider because it dies to the Owl Beast in one shot, one hit. So, and my opponent is getting kind of low. Same thing with the last matchup. If I get my opponent, if I get face damage in, now it'll buy me space and buy me time. So it's always good. My opponent plays another Owl Beast, and two owls together is really good. They're gonna buff each other. So then they're not gonna buff each other insanely like they used to, but at least they're gonna get bigger than 4/4s. They play another Shockery, so another threat. This hand is pretty good. I'm gonna trade in one Sans Roll though, because I'm looking for EMP at this point, for sure. And I'm just gonna steal this 4/6, the bigger owl. My opponent plays around my Lightbender hitting their owl, which is good for them. But I'm just gonna attack with it. Start pushing damage. If my opponent can't react to my grapnel and their owl that I've got on board, they might die. Go in the corner. Go away from another Katetsu backstab, and stay out of range of Shaddai. And I decide to keep this out of range of their owl, even though it's a valuable trade for me. Just gonna make them have resources to clear my things, basically. Also preventing Shaddai from running away from the Owl Beast on board. Or not quite. They can run 2 down. Sorry. So yeah, my opponent is doing a good job of developing multiple threats. that I can't deal with all at once unless I have an EMP. Now they have the scary card, which is the Kindling. Inner Focus the Kindling. And they managed to clear a bunch of my stuff. But they walk into a Lightbender, killing off their two biggest threats. An EMP would just be fantastic though, because it would also kill the owl and keep my Santal up as well. Replace, don't find it. But I will just play a Portal Guardian and a Lightbender. I'm healthy enough that I don't need to play Herald just yet. And I'm debating on if I Dissension the Owl or the Shockery. The Owl will have 4 attack and will kill anything on board anyways that it can reach. It wouldn't matter for the Portal and my face potentially, but it's out of range of both. And the Shockery can trade in with the 2-1 if my opponent has a Kindling. It'll also keep them lower. So I'm just gonna... My opponent only has 2 cards in hand, so the likelihood that they have MDS to potentially kill the Portal is low, and MDS in itself will not be enough. It would prevent from them killing it with their general on top of it, but I'll have other stuff than just the Portal, and I don't need to, even if though they're low, I don't need to finish the game off quite yet. I've got another Herald to buy more time. They're low on cards, so definitely could have a Trinity Wing or a Calligrapher though. Fuel up for sure. So I haven't just won yet. Play a 3rd Owl Beast. And a Sparrowhawk to get that Mist Dragon Seal. My opponent does a great job of body blocking, so my Herald can't get in, and I can steal this Owl Beast again or Reader it, but I only have 5 damage. I don't have 6 damage. So I need a Blood of Air, but my opponent stole both of those as well. They don't necessarily know I only have 2. They probably don't, but still, I don't find a Blood of Air. I don't find any EMP. So I'm debating between trying to clear everything or going face and just hyper pressuring my opponent, leaving them on 1 HP. And I'm counting how much damage my opponent can do with 2 cards. The most they can do is Kindling MDS. And that would be 17 damage, because they would get to attack with the Owl and the Sparrowhawk. And with the Herald, I live on 18. So I steal this Owl, go face, body block with my other Herald here so that the Shockery can't get in. But I also didn't quite pay enough attention to my opponent's hand, since they have a Bloodborne spell in their hand. They don't have a Mistdragon Seal, so they can't even deal that 17. They can only deal 14, I think it is. Yeah, it's 17 minus 2, I guess, because they lose 2 attack. And they lose it. No, yeah, exactly. They lose a 3rd point from the Mistdragon Seal, so it's 14 that they can deal with the Kindling. Which they do have, and they show it off. They don't have any way of clearing the 4 of my minions. They only have 3 attackers, right? So they just go face for 14. They were close. They were definitely close. They played well. But Mid-Saffron got me through. And yeah, close matchups. Was a great series against my opponent, Hoshback. They played really well. So that's going to do it for part 1, and I'm going to do a second part to show the final games. Thanks.